Our gallery name is Level and Company, and it's an interesting namesake. We chose it for a few reasons. It's named after André Level. André Level was a French financier who in the late 19th century got very interested in art. And he came from a family that did not collect, but he would on the weekends go up to Montmartre in Paris and go into the galleries. And he was quite drawn to some of the newer artists. This is in a period right after the overthrow of the Salon. It used to be that the government used to decree who the fashionable artists of the day were. Messinier and Cabanel and Bouguereau, artists that had the state seal of approval. André Level was very interested in what was next. He was interested in going and finding some of these no-name artists like Matisse and Picasso. So, after doing this for a few years, he had this inspiration to put together a syndicate, group 10 investors who would invest 250 francs a year, and they decided to go buy art from a lot of these no-name artists as a pure investment. They created a pooled trust, and this pooled trust owned this art for a period of 10 years. And they would buy, over time, about 27,000 francs worth of art. And then in 1914, after 10 years of the fund's existence, they decided to bring the art to the Hotel Drouot, which was an auction house in Paris at the time. And they brought the art to auction and return the capital to their investors. This cycle introduced a few interesting things. One, it was the first time in history ever where art was treated as a pure asset class. It was the first time ever that even since the Renaissance, a group of people bought art with the sole purpose of actually building an investment return for both the artist, who got 20% of the profits, as well as the capital investors. The second interesting thing was it became a blueprint for enterprising collectors over the next 100 years who would buy the art of their time. Up until then, it was very fashionable to buy dead artists that would bestow a sense of augustness on the buyer, and no one would expect at the time that buying the art of your day, you would get wealthy doing it. The third interesting thing is it laid the blueprint for what would become the evening auction. This was the first time in history that a fashionable evening auction at the Hotel Drouot, where people would dress up and it would be an event. Society, both Parisian investors and collectors and people from Germany came in, and they very publicly bought works of art from this fund. And the fund selected very well. The most famous work from this fund was the Family of Saltimbanque by Picasso, which was bought for 1,000 francs and ultimately sold for 11,500 francs at the end of the fund. That picture is now one of the most famous paintings at the National Gallery in Washington, D.C. So we thought, as a gallery that's representing works of art that are both collectively owned by funds like Masterworks, as well as other collections, we thought it'd be very interesting to hearken back to André Level and pay homage to his namesake.